It's like the saying goes, and I probably said this again, I sound like a broken record. Everyone wants affordable housing. They just don't want it to be their home. So I think the market is absolutely going to rip. Here's reason number one, immigration. So just to make it clear, I always say this crystal clear. I am pro-immigration. We need immigrants to come into the country.
Yes.
However, there's no new supply of housing coming onto the market. What's going to happen if they're coming to the country and there's no new houses to live in, there's no new rental units, the prices are going to go up. That's, I would say, the biggest reason.
Yes.
I don't see the permit process for getting new supply onto market. I do not see that changing. It's a big bloated bureaucracy so the developers want to build housing, and the numbers, like my friend who I won't mention, but he goes, I would build rental units if the numbers made sense. The numbers don't make sense. I can't make a profit off this. I'm going to continue doing my other stuff here because I can make a profit. If the numbers made sense, AKA if 30% of the cost to build it wasn't in taxes, I'd be doing this. If we had something more reasonable, let's say 15, 20, that's still high compared to other countries, but it's more reasonable than what it is. And then here's another one. So like just another small example in Ontario. So since the 1970s, the population has increased by roughly 68%. I don't know when in the 1970s. Again, this is a fact from the stat from the Canadian Centre for Economic Analysis. Mm-hmm. Since the 1970s, population up 68%, new housing completions down 23%. So it's just interest rates, yes, have a impact on this, but it's a supply and demand issue. Last year, we brought in 1 million immigrants. This is the Stats Canada said that, but it's there are 1 million immigrants. This year, we want to bring in roughly 1.5 million immigrants. So again, just a disclaimer, because I don't want this to be clipped. I'm pro-immigration. It's fine. We need them to come in.
Yes.
And that's going to put a lot of stress on our hospital system. It's going to put a lot of stress. There's something, I just find it irresponsible from the policymakers that are doing this because there's no plan.
There is no plan.
And there's something that's brewing, and it's like it's if we continue like this and it doesn't get fixed, we need some adults in the room to actually make policies and stuff like that and make things changing, because there's a disaster brewing for housing.
Well,
it's already bad.
Like you said, there is a dark cloud, and it's kind of like sifting through the cloud and finding that silver lining. That's basically what it is. I don't know what's hovering over us right now. It's kind of like unknown. We don't know where to place ourselves. Where's our right footing? That's kind of what's happening right now. And like you said, we need grown adults to come into the room and make some decisions. You know what I mean? Instead of putting bans on languages, but that's a different story altogether.
But the same thing too. So you have there's three parts. There's municipal government, provincial government, and federal government to get permits for housing. You probably know more about this than I do, but governments, they're not the most efficient institutions when it comes to managing capital and money.
Yes.
And so let alone one just giving permits. Now you need to coordinate three. I mean, come on guys, we need to figure out a way to build more supply in housing.
Yes.
That's number one. The medical, I won't even get into that because I don't know anything about that, but just think, there's no new doctors and they're all retiring, and we have 1.5 million immigrants coming in. I don't want to know what's going to happen.
And a lot of them, because my mother worked in the medical field and in the hospital sector, and a lot of them were actually coming from other countries to work here and quickly left.
Because they couldn't work, right? Yeah.
Okay. So there's that issue there. Or they found other opportunities if they were able to, which is a whole other story on its own. But I mean, they either went to Toronto or other places or went back home. That's the reality of it. They weren't here permanently. So that's what it is. And that's also what's causing a chaos in the system. All
right, we're going to switch gears now. So that was a good conversation.
I'm glad you're having.
Gears a little bit. Yeah,
I'm the first girl. There's a lot of
first lady. The first lady. Yeah.
But I also wanted to bring up a topic actually, because we're talking about immigration, people coming in, but we're not talking about people going out.
Yep.
And I'm seeing a lot of that because I actually do a lot of referral-based business. Okay. So it's either different provinces or even outside of the country.
When you say go out, you're saying from Montreal leaving the country or leaving the province?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Okay. And I went to a recent event recently, and it's for the Canadian Florida Chamber of Commerce. And I think they said 1,000 people per day are moving to Florida from Canada.
From Canada.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was from Quebec or from Canada, but if I'm not mistaken, I think majority of it is from Quebec.
I'm pretty sure it's the same number from New York to Florida, and it's a very similar number from California to Florida.
Absolutely, for their taxes.
Florida and Texas.
Exactly.
And people are fed up with, you can say what you want about Florida, but I love Florida.
Same.
The weather's amazing. A lot better than here sometimes.
Yes.
Man, it's finally a sunny day outside.
I know, but it's still a little chilly.
Yeah, it's been like 2 weeks since you saw sun. But no, I mean, you could say what you want. People, a lot of times, they might not say this, but they vote and make decisions with their wallets.
Yes.
As they should.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
If you have a family, like let's say you go to a house, $1 million doesn't get you much here. $1 million in a smaller town in Texas, not so much Miami now, $1 million doesn't get you much, but other places in Florida, you're getting a beautiful home for $1 million in some places
it's a mansion.
In Texas.
It's a mansion.
You're not getting that here.
No, absolutely not. And it became sort of also a transition for a lot of families, which I don't even know if I'll be censored for saying this, but
let it rip. Go for it.
They didn't want to get the jab. They wanted to protect their family from something that was completely unknown to them.
Yeah.
Am I totally allowed to say the jab?
You could say whatever you want. Yeah,
I was like, next thing you know, I get like a subpoena at my door.
No, a lot of people have that. I think people are finally they're thinking straight now with regards to this, and they don't feel as censored anymore about. If you ask 10 people, I bet you 8 out of 10 are going to say the COVID measures that happened here in Quebec and Canada were overkill. I bet you 8, maybe even 9 out of 10. Maybe at the time, because people, it was a very just weird time.
Absolutely.
I went to Florida.
Oh, you had every right to.
I was there I said, I'm not dealing with this. I said, teacher, you guys can stay here, no problem. I said, I'm going to Florida. I went there for 3 months. I said, I'm not dealing with these lockdowns.
Well, that was the thing. So a lot of people's perspective had changed during those lockdowns.
Yes.
And then when you were forced to do something and it's not part of your core value system, a lot of families up and left. And they were like, let's just move. Let's just go there.
Yeah.
Like that
and again,
was
same thing in New York, same thing in California, same thing. And for when I was down in Tampa for 3 months, and I was speaking to, I don't want to say a lot, but quite a few people from blue states is what it was. And they're like, yeah, I didn't want to get the vaccine. I came here, and all lockdowns and all this. Teach their own, man. If the guy wants or the girl wants to leave, I mean, go for it. Leave. We're going down a dark hole. I don't want to talk about COVID, but your original point was what?
Was that people are leaving Canada or Quebec, even for different provinces. They're going, okay, let's go to BC, for example, because there's so many aspects here in Quebec that we have to take in consideration, such as language. People just don't want to do the French language law situation anymore, or there's better opportunities in Toronto for the... I just had a friend recently go there because there's better opportunities for law there than there is here.
You know where else I heard it's booming? Alberta.
All of a sudden back up again.
Alberta's like the becoming the Florida of Canada. And I think Alberta is going to be a great place to live. I think there's a transition in federal government happening right now. And I think people realize that like, oh crap, we have all this energy here that not unfortunately, we need to use this. And the logic is, look, the world needs oil or energy or liquid natural gas one way or another. So it's better for Canada to extract it. We'll be a lot more responsible with regards to the emissions in comparison to a country that's less concerned with global emissions and stuff like that. So it's like, hey, let's just extract the oil here.
Absolutely.
If we get a government change from the federal government, so, it's no secret, the Liberal government, they don't like it. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. Conservative government, they're more pro-jobs. If in 2 years there's a shift in government and the new party comes in, so we have all these people going to Alberta.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot more jobs if the oil spigots open up again. Exactly. I think it could be a really cool place to live in 2 or 3 years. I do a lot of transactions, like I mentioned, with referrals, and I follow a lot of agents from all over, and I see them like really killing it. And I'm like, what's going on in Alberta? Yeah.
And even for me too, another place I didn't expect to see, I've never had this request before in all 10 years of working in real estate, is Nova Scotia.
Oh yeah, Nova Scotia. Interesting.
I swear to God, it's more people that want to retire. They want to go that way.
Really? Nova Scotia.
They want to live a comfortable life because what you can get there,
Yeah.
I mean, you get a shit ton of land and you're peaceful and you're just eating all that good fish all day long.
All the lobster.
All the lobster. So I had, I think, 3 requests to get
Nova
there.
Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
Like to move, pick up permanent residence. Ciao. They're out of here.
Absolutely. Yes. I had
Cool.
3 clients that way, sold their home. Yeah, we're in Nova Scotia. I'm like, really? I've never seen this before.